Okay, we're going to make a start. Firstly, thank you very much for coming this afternoon. It's great to see so many of you here. Conscious it's a graveyard shift, so we'll try and keep this as lively as we can. Look, my name is Chris Peel. I'm the CEO of a group called Opus Talent Solutions. We're a group comprising of three businesses. We have Opus RS, which is a technology recruitment partner. We have JD Ross, which is a talent partner to the renewable energy sector. And then we have Knowledge, our very own tech consultancy arm, which specialises in building diverse and inclusive talent pipelines, often from non-traditional backgrounds. And we place our knowledges into our corporate client base on long-term opportunities. Now, as part of this Bristol Technology Festival, we wanted this evening to shine a light on what we view as important factors that we think all businesses should be thinking about in their future talent planning. There are going to be four themes, the key themes to this evening's discussions. Firstly, the role and purpose in attracting and retaining top talent. Secondly, building diverse teams, building inclusive cultures and equitable recruitment processes. Thirdly, we have bridging the skills gap in order to help stay competitive. And finally, we have leveraging competitive advantage in what can sometimes be at the moment a turbulent marketplace. Okay, so there are four key themes that we're going to focus on in this evening's panel. I just want to focus on diversity and inclusion for a minute. I think it's fair to say that despite a number of improving trends, we still have a very long way to go in tech today. If I just take the Tech Talent Charter's latest report that showcases in the UK that only 29% of tech employees today identify as female or non-binary. It's less than 20% for core engineering and developer roles. Only 9% of tech employees are reported to be from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. That compares to the UK demographic of 39%. Only 6% of the tech workforce today report a disability. That compares to 23% of the wider working age population. And only 3% of tech employees have disclosed that they are neurodivergent, whilst UK estimates of the adult working population is much closer to 15 to 20%. Now, this evening, we have assembled an excellent expert panel to help navigate through these increasingly important topics. And I hope that through their experiences, wisdom and knowledge, you'll be able to take away insights that become useful to you back in your own organisations. Because this evening is about information exchange, collaboration. I also want to make sure that we leave ample time at the end of the panel for your own questions before we move into the next room for our drinks reception and an opportunity to network. So without further ado, let me introduce our expert panel for this evening. I'm going to start with Ollie Monks. Ollie, just raise your hands. People know who you are. Thank you very much. Now, Ollie is the Talent Acquisition and Mobility Lead for a UK leading tech business, PayTech. Now, Ollie is passionate about building diverse and inclusive teams across the tech industry, and I've been fortunate enough to see this firsthand. Now, before leading all things talent at PayTech, he led the Global Talent Visa Program for Tech Nation, and he founded a co-working space designed for neurodivergent workers in London. He's a neurodiversity advocate himself. He's a TEDx speaker and a Churchill Fellow. Ollie, welcome to this evening's panel.
Thank you.
We have Anna Tzionis, who is almost like I was practicing that on the train all the way from mine. Was it close enough?
It's close enough, perfect.
Good, thank you. Apologies. So Anna is head of cloud at a business called PayTech. Now, Anna joined PayTech in August 2022 to help PayTech through their technology transformation journey to become a cloud-first organisation. In her previous role, she led cloud solutions teams that helped many businesses with cloud adoption via several public cloud providers. So Anna, welcome, and thank you for being here. From QBE, firstly, we have two representatives from QBE. Firstly, we have Judith Greeves, Scrum Master and Chair of QBE's Women in Tech EA. Now, Judith is a highly competent Scrum Master with over 7 years leadership experience within QBE. Now, she has a proven track record of influencing teams and driving organisational success. Her dedication to fostering collaboration and growth is evident through her leadership of QBE's Women in Tech network. As a chair of that network, she provides a welcoming and safe space for shared conversations, networking and opportunities supporting women in tech or those aspiring to join the industry in QBE for the first time. So I'm delighted to welcome Judith to tonight's panel. Also from QBE, we have Jemma Holmes. Jemma is a hybrid cloud platform automation and self-service engineer. So I see QBE like short, punchy job titles. Now, Jemma works as a platform engineer at QBE, and she specialises in enhancing the visibility of Azure cloud systems reliability, performance, and overall health. She is also a dedicated member of QBE's Women in Tech network. Now, her journey is not the typical route into tech, I would say. Her journey started in the RAF reserves, where she has over 13 years' experience across 5 aircraft platforms and developing an extensive understanding of RAF supply chain and operations. And it's there where her curiosity and passion for tech began. And that led her to Knology, where she completed based on her transferable skills and her attitude and her aptitude, she completed an intensive boot camp as a trainee software developer, and then securing at the end of that in just 12 weeks a placement with QBE. And she's been there for 3 years now. And she still serves alongside full-time at QBE. I have to say, she still serves in the RAF as a reservist. So pretty phenomenal effort all round. So Jemma, welcome and thank you. Now, coming on to our last two of the panel, sort of home representatives, as we'll call them, from the Opus network. Firstly, to my left, George Aldridge, Head of Business Development for our Tech UK arm. Now, George has over 9 years' experience in technology recruitment, and he's partnered with a diverse range of businesses, from startups to SMEs to larger mature enterprises that have been undergoing digital transformation. Now, his expertise lies in helping to craft long-term talent strategies that prioritise inclusivity and diversity, as well as attracting the very best top talent. He's also a mental health first aider in our business. Thank you, George. And finally, but by no means least, Eva Perkins. So Eva joined Knology in September 2024. So you were just 1 month into your employment at Knology, coming in to lead our business here in the UK on its mission to create diverse tech talent pools and future-proof tech workforces through innovative training, skills and development programs. Now, Eva has extensive experience in tech skills and talent management across multiple sectors, most recently serving as Client Relationship Director at Team Genie, where she spearheaded the expansion of coaching and leadership development programs. And prior to that, she was Portfolio Director at Grace Group, a high-trained deploy provider of diverse talent into a range of clients across the UK market, including the tech talent market. So, Eva, thank you very much for also taking part this evening. So, as you would have heard there, we've got a lot of expertise sitting at this panel and my job now for the next 50 minutes is to try and coordinate our Q&A, that all of them can have a chance of contributing to this evening's debate and making sure that you can take away information that I hope will be useful back into your own day jobs. So we're going to dive straight into the first question, and it's going to be on the role of purpose in attracting and retaining top tech talent. Now, a study by Deloitte found that companies with a strong sense of purpose have 30% higher employee retention rates. So my first question, I'm going to start with Eva. I finished with Eva on the introduction, so I'm going to start with her this evening. Eva, from your experience, how can organisations communicate their purpose to help attract and retain top talent especially in tech where demand can often outweigh supply?
Hello. Evening, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. It's not an easy question, right, to start off with. Oh, can all just lie down? It's dead, isn't it? I think one of the things that always strikes me about purpose is organisations often don't communicate it even internally. So when you're looking for a job and you're trying to attract talent in a very competitive market, often the people that are going to meet the people you're trying to attract first don't even know what your purpose is. Or if they do, they can't communicate it really well. So one of the biggest things for me is having a really good understanding internally about your purpose. When I started at Knowledge, the first thing I did is I did a team charter with the team. And I asked them, what do we do here? And as you can imagine, I got 5 different answers based on their kind of wants and needs and their own personal values and their own kind of reason for being at Knowledge. Once we started to distill that, we really understood actually our purpose is really simple. It's one sentence. And it's to create diverse careers, to create the best talent pipeline any business could have from a diverse range of people and skills as well. So one of the first things I think is really understanding your purpose and allowing your employees to sell that. Because the second thing for me was when I came to Knowledge, everybody's Googling, right? LinkedIn, looking at who already works there. So you're attracting people, but they're already all over LinkedIn and they're seeing everybody. What are they posting about? What do they like? What do they do? So for me, seeing that actually the people that work here really believe it. They really want to do good. That was the thing. That was all over the kind of posts and not in a kind of cheesy, here I'm trying to sell myself and sell my business on LinkedIn. I mean, nobody does that, obviously, so let's not for this panel. But they did it in a really cool way where you could tell it was very authentic. They'd been there a long time. They really understood. And one thing Jemma said to me when we were talking this afternoon is when she was deciding to change careers, she said, I rang Knowledge after seeing a flyer. And this isn't about Knowledge, by the way. This is just my experience. But she saw a flyer and she still hears Bexy's voice on the call when she picked up the phone. So that was the first person that ever spoke to her. And purpose is about people who will live and breathe it. Nobody's going to sell your business like your employees. Nobody. It just doesn't work like that. There's nobody that's going to represent your business better than the people that work for you. So utilising them to tell their story, to shine a light on your purpose, for me is one of the greatest gifts that any business can have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Eva. Could you pass the mic to Judith? Because I know from our coffee earlier, I think you're doing some interesting things about this. If there's anything you'd like to add to what Eva said.
Yes, so like the interview process. On the fact that we ensure that... There we go. Yeah, from an interview process, making sure that there is a diverse panel for the people to come to as well, so that you've got women, you've got diverse, made such a difference to me. And then also looking like our job specs and making sure that they have been like part of Women in Tech. A few years ago, we ensured that they used a scanning program to get rid of any gender decoding, and so they're making it as and making it as simple as possible, flexible, showcasing how flexible we've been and how flexible we are. Like our benefits are incredible, the things we've been doing, and that make it more attractive for everyone to come to.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And George, I can come to you next. In your experience, how does a clear sense of purpose influence employee engagement and loyalty within teams? And can you provide any examples that you've seen where it's really made a tangible difference?
Hello. This is very new to me, so bear with me. I think similarly to what Eva touched on, the first thing I do when engaging with any new business is ask the hiring manager what they like about their job and what do they like about their current employer. What you'll see quite quickly is whether they truly believe in their sense of purpose, because the first answer to that question should be, because we're a purpose-led organisation, I believe in the mission, and therefore everything comes into play. I don't know if anyone's read Good to Great, but they talk about the hedgehog concept in there. And that's firmly about, you can't create an idea and try to wrap it with purpose. You've got to really believe in the purpose, and then everything else follows, and that's the wraparound, not the other way around. And I think what I've seen in a market that's ever evolving, and ESG is cool and trendy, right? Everyone wants to put ESG and a bit of greenwashing going on at the moment. You can't wrap purpose around a business. And from my position, I've seen organizations hire on the basis that they've had a really great marketing team and they've talked a really good game, but the authenticity falls apart quite quickly. And that affects their retention. Businesses that I think I've seen do exceptionally well are businesses that are pay a massive part in everyone's life, whether that's education or healthcare or civil service. It affects all of our day-to-day lives, and it's easy to buy into that. But what I think is really important and really clever is the businesses that aren't so tech for good led, but they still capture purpose. And that's because their business model was, we are the best at doing this one thing. And by you coming on board, we ensure that you will be the best that you can possibly be in that space. And that is the absolute purpose. You don't have to overcomplicate it. And what I've also seen more often than not, actually following COVID gave us all a bit of time for reflection, probably too much reflection. But we did have some serious time to think about what's important to us. And Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 is, we all have to do it. We all have bills to pay. But legacy is really important. And what the legacy we're trying to leave is super important. And if we can weave that into our day-to-day, then fantastic. And so if businesses truly believe in their purpose and they can convey their mission about what they want to achieve, I'm very confident that businesses don't have to pay ridiculous salaries. They don't have to offer the outrageous benefits package, which we all would love, of course, but people truly believe in things that they find that are realistic. They can see the purpose. And more often than not, we're working with an ed tech startup at the moment. They don't have the best budgets by any means, but they have been able to attract real talent because people believe in what they're trying to do and they want to lend their skills to solving that problem. And I think that's brilliant. We also work with a digital agency who in the last couple of years have been troubling for many businesses. It's not been an easy economic market, but they stuck strong they wanted to operate in third sector. They wanted to support not-for-profit organizations and government bodies. That's all that they wanted to do. They stuck to their guns. They had a turbulent 18 months, and now they're reaping the rewards because they stayed true to what they set out to do, which was to work within not-for-profit and third sector industries, whereas a lot of digital agencies that I have seen have diversified which industries they're picking up, and they're picking up quick roles and quick opportunities, and that's they've suffered as a consequence later on down the way.
Thank you very much, George. And just sort of wrapping up this one before we come, I'm going to come to you, Jemma. And is there anything from your own experiences around purpose that have really helped you in developing your career, either going into QBE or perhaps from your 13 years in the RAF?
So what I will say is, if you believe in what you do, exactly what George was saying, if you believe in what you do and the company believes in what they do, it aligns, doesn't it? You don't join a running club to get faster at swimming. You're there for a purpose, and your purpose is X. Well, I definitely feel that within my company in QBE. Everyone is very passionate about tech because they like it. They are passionate about how tech can help people. How can it help your job? How can it help everybody else's job? Well, QBE's mission is modernisation, especially within our sector. It's about modernisation. Now, what does modernisation do? It helps you improve your job, right? Yes. Teams meetings sometimes can't go the way you want it to, or technology can be a pain, but the actual fact is that, as an example, modernisation is to help you. I believe in that because I want to help people with tech. I want people to look at a dashboard one day and go, that takes me 5 minutes to look at, rather than I've got to go through the rigmarole of doing an API call that takes me forever. All right. So to believe in what you do, you enjoy your job more. If you believe what your manager is saying and you believe what the company is saying, your purpose is there, and therefore the company's purpose is coming through as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to come on now to our second kind of topic around building diverse teams and fostering inclusive cultures. So I'm going to come on to you, Ollie, now. Now, you're responsible for running the talent strategies and new talent into a major UK tech employer. So I think you're well placed to answer this and to kick us off it. What are the most effective strategies you've seen for ensuring diversity and inclusion at the recruitment phase? And also, how do you prevent that dreaded unconscious bias in your hiring managers?
Come on, no pressure, man. I'll solve it in 5 minutes. We'd all go home. I've seen a few places. If I can just touch on as well from the previous question a little bit, I think you've got to, even when you do this and we build these strategies, which I'll come on to in a moment, you really do have to continue to prove it. Like you might be able to attract wonderful people if you do it right during that attraction process or that interview process, but there is a higher bar there and they will hold you to account, and you've got to remind them of that as well. That's one of the things that we do well most of the time here at PayTech is you come here and you really care about diversity and inclusion. Great, well, what are you doing? How can I get involved once I get there? You really care about impact. Show me, what are we doing while I'm there? One of the things we've done, which is really small, but I'd encourage doing it in different ways in your companies, is every 2 weeks we have a showcase. And it's actually, you might not feel, you might be in a project where actually things are slow. We work in the public sector, that can happen from time to time, or it could be frustrating. Here's something amazing that we've built with the NHS or some other part of the government, another part of our organisation, and at least builds that belonging. And actually, yes, this is the impactful organisation that you told me you were going to be before I joined. I think just those kind of small ways of proving to people you are what you say you were really kind of helps to build that as an employee experience. Judith mentioned one big thing, so a lot of these things are talked about a lot in what are the best ways to do it. A lot of it when it comes to diverse panels, things like that, a lot of the time, if you can't see it, all that kind of stuff, it's cliche, but it's really true. You got to be able to see it somewhere. If you can't, you're not going to seek it out in the first place. You're not going to believe it if you don't meet anybody that, is in that way aspirational during an interview or application process. That's a really important one. We work in the consultancy world. So much of it, certainly if you think about the kind of stereotype of it, is around your networks, is around your reputation. And so there's a huge amount of red flags that can come from that. I think the terms of affinity bias, isn't it? You're associating people just by their employers, not rather than anything else, right? And that can be a real danger. So there's a whole move, certainly in the talent industry, which I'm sure we'll get into, around actually what are you assessing that on? There's a whole move back to, I think, people are probably getting whiplash from recruitment around skills-based hiring. That's a big thing, though. How do you actually really do this in an objective way? Some of the stuff I'll recommend here, I think it's going to sound so simple, but the basics are so important, right? About how do you make sure all your teams are truly being as objective as possible. As in-house recruiters at times, interviews can be a bit of a black box. You can go do all the training in the world, but you don't necessarily always know what's happening during that hour when that meeting's taking place. How can you get that where you're doing real? I saw a great article the other day on my holiday, a week off. It's how fun I am at parties. But it was like interviewing for evidence. And it was a great way of thinking about it. And it's like 4 different types of evidence. And it's for actually, how do we make sure we're proving it? That means then we can make proper objective decisions. Yeah. Generally then, if you're being objective, you're going to hire more diversity, because ultimately you're removing some of those biases that are going to exist. And if anything else, you're building in fantastic feedback to help develop people, especially for those entry-level roles. If it's a no now, it's a not yet. How can you help them in your future roles? Or if they're, maybe not a PayTech, could be at QE when they next apply in a few months' time? How are you going to help them make that next step?
And Ollie, something I've seen can actually have the perverse impact to what you expect to be, is having very firm targets around diverse hiring. What are your views on that?
Yeah, all the fun topics here, guys. It's quite live for us as well. There's a lot that I think we're going to move towards that's around kind of shortlisting, different points before the process. We talk about that a lot even within us as a kind of talent team at PayTech. For us, also about what we can control and trying to bring that through. Some of it's, again, all around data, actually, how we're getting better information about the talent we're attracting. We use a platform called HackerJob. I know there's lots of similar ones available. They've got a great data view on actually what are those people that are not engaging with us. I think LinkedIn's got something coming up soon as well about our message, even before people are applying, with different demographics, what's working, what isn't, and then how that goes all the way through each stage. As you're saying there, Chris, about those targets. I'm really onto the team there about talent attraction, that first step of it before they even get through to the process. Actually, how successfully is our message landing? I don't think those targets on actual number of hires or shortlists are that useful. Actually, they really get into a kind of tick box mentality. It's not great feeding them for anybody who feels that they're from a protected characteristic or underrepresented, that they're here for the right reasons. I don't think that's a great way to start someone's employee experience, to be honest. I think there's much better ways to do it. But you need something, right? That's the thing. You need something that's going to be an incentive for the business, that's going to be a compelling business to say, this is why we do it. I think probably everyone in this room already knows it, but sadly it's not kind of commonly agreed everywhere. So how do you create that kind of compelling case? And I think we don't think we've nailed it yet, really, for everyone to really properly get that.
Fantastic, thank you. And Anna, you've been sitting here very patiently. Tell me about what PayTech are doing in this area.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. If I may just touch on what Ori was saying about diverse talent in teams, I found, at least in my experience, is the very question as to why do we have to have diverse teams? Is that a very simple question that you might have 20 different answers? Okay, is the idea of diversity and inclusion and why this is important, what it will bring to the organizations, right, in terms of talent, different ways of looking at the same problem, different ways of resolving and troubleshooting, etc. So I must confess, right, you will agree with me, I was biased at some point because, just as Chris was mentioning, there are so few women in tech. In my team, so I run cloud division, 25 people, two girls, and I really, really want to have female talent, engineers, or maybe somebody junior. To the point that I was saying to George here, I only want girls, and then I've come to realize, my gosh, I was completely biased. And as much as I want more female talent within my team, I can't do that. It's just so unfair, right? So guilty as charged. We reviewed that again and actually started at the CVs from the point of view of not necessarily even the skills matrix, but the potential. So going back to your question, within my team, so 25 people, we speak 21 language, all right? And that was quite interesting to establish. Different areas of the world. I am Russian, I have my team in Romania, there's French, there's English, your typical English, so typical English, there's Pakistani, there's Indian and all that. And the mentality is so very different. And it wasn't the easiest question for me to resolve, and I'm still working on it, right? I'm still trying to understand how to not only create this harmonious atmosphere and the emotionally secure and safe space for people to be able to voice their do's and their don'ts, okay? So we actually have a very open forum every last Friday of the month. We have a series so-called Where I'm From. People present about their homeland, right? So far it's the Indian continent. You won't believe how different one state, well, you will probably, but I had no idea, right? How different the culture is, how the food, what they played as children, and what people want to show when they talk about their homeland. And the reason why I'm doing this is because as a foreigner myself, right, I've arrived in the UK 10 years ago, and I tried to blend in so much and so tirelessly. I was trying to become your stereotypical English woman in tech that I've completely forgotten who I was. When I was making mistakes, and I was a Scrum Master as well, I was saying irritations instead of iterations, right? That was a bit of embarrassment. I said so many silly things. But then I just acknowledged to myself, I was not born here. And let's embrace that. And within my team, when we talk about the culture of where people are from, they're trying to bring the best to the plate, right? To show off a little bit. Because I don't want them to blend in. I don't want them to forget their roots. I want them to share their, the way they were growing up, the way they were raised, the way they were taught. Like mathematics is taught differently in different countries. And that really does make a difference because people then suddenly feel safe. When I just started this job in PayTech, one of my team members in confidence said to me, I've been working like 20 hours days, 20 hours days. That's crazy the way you're doing it. And because we have deadlines to meet. I said, well, how am I supposed to provide my executive team with the data that I need more people if you're doing this work? And he says to me, Anna, but we're slaves here. That changed everything for me. That was awful. Literally, I cried after because I cannot have any member of the team feeling like they're slaves. It's real. I swear to you, that's real. That's what they said to me. And I think there are several rules first. You have to create this emotionally safe space for people to trust that it's okay to share whatever they have to share. And then, yes, I'm still saying. And
Actually, I'm actually trying to sell a house. So there's this gross lady.
And so, yeah, as soon as you get the trust of your people, yes, and you become vulnerable before them, you ask them what is okay to say, what's not okay, what's upsetting you, and you bring that to the forum. I think that's the first step. I hope it answers.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Be true to yourself and be true to others. I take away from that, Anna. Thank you, Judith. You're doing a lot in this area of QBE. What are you seeing that's really making a difference around the retention of employees linked to inclusivity and diversity?
So we've got several different networks that everyone can go to. There's on this I've got here, so it's easier. Otherwise, I'll try and fire nothing on now. I'll forget one, and then I'll get a double. And so yeah, we have a mix. So mix is mix in ethnicity and culture, a workability, accessibility, and visibility, a sustainability network, a circle, so a gender network, a pride network, and then an open mind network, which is mental health. And then also we've got our Women in Tech, which is within tech as well. So there's somewhere for everyone to go, somewhere for everyone to be able to be part of something. And each of those networks all do events which are across the whole company, which is supported by every network has an EMB member on board, so which supports it and really helps. It helps everyone.
Fantastic, thank you. And Jemma, you're part of the Women in Tech network. How has that helped you?
Yeah, so Judith is the brains, and I'm just the admin behind doing everything and all the re-engage posts. It's really helped me because within my team, it used to be quite a big team, and I'm a fully remote individual, so I do everything from home, but I can go into the office. It's a 2.5-hour journey for me on the train one way, so I'd rather sit at home with my dog. She's super confident. But it helps me because it means I get to know different people in parts of the company that share the same vision as I do. Whereas we've created this group of people who come together to share ideas, to make great events. Network definitely is one of them. But it's just a like-minded group of people, women, who want to be with each other, that want to improve their job relationship, but just to understand the company more and make other people more. Yeah, absolutely. So like the I Am Room, we run 40, 50 I Am Remarkable sessions. Don't know if anyone's heard about them, but that's encouraging people to talk about their achievements, which so many people don't talk about them, especially women. Well, yeah, especially women, but it's open to everybody. We've got our school partnership where we've gone into schools. Well, schools come to us for it, and they're year 8 children who mainly girls, encouraging them to take before their GCSE option to take IT, because the schools we've spoken to, terrifyingly, the girls' numbers are going down for taking IT for GCSE, which we're trying to encourage them to read. So we have them come into school, we do a robot session, teach them that coding, and also then sit with a group of
just women and men doing all their roles and what actually you do in tech. You don't have to be a coder or, in whatever, just all the different roles that they can do, which encourages them to do a tech engineering. And that's the authenticity coming through, because you've got somebody who really enjoys their job talking to these students who are like, it's not just a guy sitting in a really dark room with dark candle and loads of cans of monsters. It's like led them hours on end, that's not it. It's just women helping women and producing these diverse teams. And the kids are like, oh, well, we didn't know that, because it's not portrayed. You know what I mean? You go into kids' programs or old school films, and that's the picture they paint of a coder with a green screen and everything like that. And it's just not like that. So we try to help these kids understand, students. I keep doing that. We help these students understand that there is more pathways in tech that they can do some really great work in.
Fantastic, thank you. Please do, Amy. Yeah.
And another thing that we found, and I'm sure you have noticed also, we compete with the likes of Azure, Microsoft, Amazon, Web Services, and Google. They go to schools, they supply all the laptops, all the equipment, and then they take the brains from the school. I don't know, year 4 or 5, they start these programs. And then no wonder we can't find the talent. It's really difficult at the moment to find the right talent, because I think we're competing with so many different organizations, to find the right talent, even on the entry level, where we're just looking for the ability to grasp complexity, not necessarily cloud skills, right? We're just looking for someone, bright individual that we can train and that will become part of our organization. Amazon are there 8 times out of 10.
I'm hearing there's a demystification agenda here that needs doing, to demonstrate that careers in tech are mainstream. Right, we're in a 4th industrial revolution, which is being AI and technology and machine learning led. It is now the mainstream. We've got to get that message across right now and clear. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to move on from diversity and inclusion and think about bridging the skills gap next to stay competitive. And just some more, I'll throw some stats out, so a few more at you. 64% of companies are now using AI, but 48% say they lack the skills and know how to maximise upon its potential. 3 in 5 workers said that their employer has never provided them with training to improve their digital skills. It's a staggering stat, I think. And an estimated 20% of the UK workforce will be significantly underskilled for their jobs today by 2030. All right, so there's a big challenge around the skills landscape. So I'm going to come to you, Eva. A big part of what you do is sort of training people in cutting edge skills. So look, what role should organisations play, Eva, in continuous learning and development to ensure their workforce remains competitive, cutting edge, and at the forefront of change?
Okay, that's a small question. It's bringing me down.
30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Go. One of the biggest things, and I think it was Jemma, and Jemma, you can come on to this, one of the biggest things that I think organisations can do is give people time. I think Jemma was saying they get Thursday afternoon, am I right? Yeah. Thursday afternoons to learn something new piece of tech language, whatever that might be. Now that is a lot of time, right? And I can see most employers not even considering something as huge as that. But the ROI on that will be even more, because what you're getting is very skilled, very competent people within your business. So the biggest thing for me is we all work remotely or hybrid, so you're on Teams, you're back to back. The amount of time that you can actually just give yourself in a day, Microsoft Teams will give you that focus hour or 2 hours or in your calendar if you ask it to. But generally, you've not got a lot of time. So I think having an organisation really understand that this is important, but this is why. Because we are going to get left behind. I've been using ChatGPT, devil's work, I know. I've been using AI as a beta user. But the things that are coming out about these things every single day, you've got to spend at least half an hour reading how to create prompts, how to do this, how to do that. The time it saves you, as Joe was saying, just give me a dashboard on this. Just give me just download me some information on this. It's so amazing. But you've got to give people time. You've got to understand that. And when you go back to your organisation, as if you're not in charge of allowing that, is helping them understand the ROI on that. What does it mean if we give people time to do this? What do we get back?
Fantastic. And Ollie, what are you doing in PayTech to stay at the forefront of change at the moment? How are you investing your workforce around this key topic?
It's a really good point. We've got a data and AI division as well. It's a live conversation for us at the moment that we're seeing more and more, certainly from a hiring perspective. I'll come back to in a moment about what do we do when candidates are already using it so much as they apply or through an interview process. We're also doing, all our clients are in the public sector, so we're the government, and where we've got to be extra vigilant about the amount of information that we're actually using with any of these kind of third-party AI tools that would be public knowledge, right? So we've got to be particularly kind of secure with that and safe, actually, where we do bring that in, how we do it. At the moment, I think hopefully be happy to know being quite cautious with that, I would say, at the moment, when it comes to anything that's public sector related. We're looking at it for other things where, for example, the way we work a lot of the time is through bids and our kind of sales process, and they can often end up being tens and tens and tens of pages of documents. I see some knowing nuts in the room that have gone through that themselves. Actually, there's a lot of that there, which is relatively kind of similar to what we might put together in other bids and then needs more of an edit rather than actual overall creation again. That's one where actually there's probably a lot of efficiencies we can really start to look at where we can bring that in from an AI perspective. But we are certainly being a little bit more hesitant when it comes to how we use that at the front line at the moment with a lot of the kind of delivery we have. We have more conversation when it comes to actually identifying AI kind of skills, if you like, and in our hiring. And what do we even mean by AI skills? Is that particular skill? Is it that someone's just AI literate and actually that they show the ability that they could pick up different AI kind of competencies, and that's enough for us at the moment? You mentioned, was it in the 60% somewhere of organisations using it? I was on a webinar last week where they said 88% of students are already using it. So that, in terms of that kind of talent pipeline coming through, is already more and more and more. What are we doing there to actually start to use it? Apparently, I think from a kind of D&I lens, this could be something I thought was quite interesting, where certainly a lot more of your underrepresented groups are using it even more as a tool. So actually, in a lot of ways, it might become more of a leveler in terms of actual kind of skills and competencies. What does that do? I think that was quite interesting. In some ways, I think it's going to, from a hiring perspective, there's a whole lot about what's making the decision. But I think certainly there's a lot of people in the jobs market that exaggerate to different extents about their own abilities. And now I think AI might start to be able to level that actually as well, be a bit more objective with that in the different phone screens, things like that. Like, that technology's already there. Mad. So we're probably doing more on both sides. We're trying to work it out. And I think the best thing that's come through from every different thing I've read and watched and seen about this stuff is every organisation, if you're a team of 1, 2, or into the hundreds, you've got to be proactive. You cannot let this stuff kind of happen and be on the back foot with this, whether it's getting a policy for your own things from a commercial perspective, it's some sort of stance, if nothing else, when it comes to hiring and decisions. You've got to have a view. And it's probably more useful feedback than that, but you've got to have something. So if you really are just going to wait and see what happens for another year, you are going to be left behind. So you've got to find a way to be more proactive as soon as you can.
Fantastic. Thank you. Right, we've got about 5-6 minutes left before we open up for Q&A. So I'm going to go into some more rapid-fire questions now. Just want to close off that theme. George, what are you seeing from really good candidates coming through in terms of investing in their own development at the moment?
Well, we're veteran. And thanks for that. I'm going to flip it. I think from a recruiter's perspective, what I'm finding really challenging, and there'll be other recruiters who might agree with this, is AI is unbelievable for automating processes. Don't let that automate your persona. And I think that is an absolute kill. The amount of CVs that come through the door now that have exactly the same format with the same telltale signs, and I have absolutely no idea who you are. But if I picked up the phone to you in 10 seconds, I'd know exactly who you are, your personality and who you are. And so it isn't answering the question, granted. But what I would say is, do not let ChatGPT, any other AI out there, write your CV. You know your skill set better than anyone else. Absolutely help it for rewriting some phrasing, but don't let it tell you who you are and what your career's been, because we will have no idea who you are, and it won't make it through CV sifting and understanding whether we should bring you in for an interview or not. So I didn't answer it, but hopefully.
And also, don't use any sort of AI whilst you're being interviewed. I'm sure that something exciting. It could be amazed. Yeah, the candidate will repeat the question 7 times, and then suddenly there is a generic answer here. Yep, yeah.
And for virtual too, you can actually get technology now that can tell whether someone's cheating or not. But anyway, thank you, George. You'll be a good politician. So
We'd always say that.
Swerving into your question and giving the answer you want to tell me. I'm going to move on to modern working environments very quickly. So, Jemma, you're a sort of hybrid, largely home worker, and has a lot of sort of benefits for individuals potentially and employers. But in terms of it can present a challenge to cohesion and culture. So, is there anything from your own experience around being a hybrid worker for your time in QBE that you could share that could help businesses think about how they remain flexible and offer these flexible benefits, but still drive strong cohesion and culture?
Yeah, so I'm fully remote, but I came from working in the Falklands on a deployment, which was full team together during COVID, and we were all together. There was 5 of us. We ate together. We slept pretty much in the same block. We worked together. Do you know what I mean? So then I came from that to going into Knowledge, and it was a fully remote course, which I'm sure some of you are aware. And then going to QBE, which was fully remote. I am a people person, you know, I've got my dog, but I still need that face-to-face interaction with humans to go, I get what you're saying. I know your vibe. Do you know what I mean? And that's really important. You need to be able to give your employees the opportunity to build that relationship with your team. Because if you don't, there is still that you don't know who that person is fully. I know you through a screen, but how do you build that relationship through a screen? My personal opinion is you can't. You need to be able to meet and greet and work through problems together. Yes, I do a lot of pair programming, but, you know, unless you sit and have a conversation with somebody face to face, you're not going to get that. I was very lucky when I first joined QBE doing my 18-month consultancy contract with Knowledge. We had a week, the three of us started at the same time. So for all 3 of us, didn't really know each other. We sat with each other for a week with our new team, and we got to know each other. We went for drinks, we went for food, we went and played darts, you know, and we got to know each other. And then we got to know the business as well, because the managers would come in and speak to us, and they would take us out. And that's so important, because you build that relationship, and that also builds the culture for me, because I get to know you and I get to know my team as well. So yeah, I think it's really important to build that cohesion. The companies and businesses need to allow that flexibility for hybrid and remote, but have the interaction face to face as well. Yeah, it's great, like I said, sitting at home with my dog, but I need to go to the office sometimes. One of the good things about QBE is it is really flexible. I've been with it 3 years this year, and only this year I've gone flexible working. So I work longer hours Monday to Thursday and have Fridays off. And it is, for me, fantastic, because I get to go surfing at the weekend. I get to go and do the reserves. I actually have time to myself. And, you know, it's initially was just for working mums. Like, yes, we've encouraged everyone and spread the word around the fact that it's like an advertised across the company to ensure that everyone has that opportunity. It's not just mums and dads or whatever it is. I don't have kids. I've just literally got my dog and my partner, and you know that was my fear. And going to my manager and going, "Can I have Fridays off and work longer days?" You know, there's no real reason to, apart from, for me, it's a better work-life balance. But that flexibility and that what QBE promote themselves as, that's what you want. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Really, really interesting. And the 4-day-a-week studies are coming through, a lot of positive results, even more wacky out there. No annual leave policies. Again, they seem to be producing some pretty good results if you believe what's coming out of them. And that's a big leap of faith for particularly a lot of sort of people that have been in business for quite a long time, as I have, it does break tradition with what we've been taught on how you put structure and rigid processes in place. So look, I think all this stuff is very, very encouraging indeed.
Women, men, paternity leave with women's paternity leave. So everyone gets 6 months full pay.
Yeah. And there's some great examples from Scandinavia where they've been doing that for years and years. So yeah, some really good stuff. Right, I've got 2 more questions, and I'm going to finish with Ollie, and then I'm going to finish with you, Anna. So, Ollie, this question does not do this subject justice. We should have a whole panel for this. It's a subject close to my heart, and it's a subject close to your heart. Right, so I'm sorry to give you such limited airtime on this, but neurodiversity, okay. What 3 things could you share that people could take away that could be useful in their own organisations for supporting a more neurodiverse workplace?
Wow, okay. Number 1, spiky profiles are a thing. When we're trying to bring people into our teams, when we're working on with colleagues and we're expecting them to be 6, 7, 8 out of 10 at everything they do, that is not reality, and it's definitely not a neurodivergent reality. You're more likely, if you want to bring people in that are neurodivergent, you're going to have them be fantastic at a number of things and really struggle at some other things. Think about how you can support your teams, and also in the way that you assess that is around their strengths rather than the things that they are not that good at. Please, please, please think about spiky profiles. Next thing, obviously, I've forgotten the exact term for this that's really helpful, but especially for a lot of neurodivergent colleagues, we start to set up these things that are effectively kind of, without the title, you'll get it, they're kind of mirroring or accountability kind of sessions. So if there's a thing that they really need to work on, but there's all sorts of distractions, whether they're in the office or even at home, so many things that can really take them away from what they need to focus on. They'll join the same call for an hour. They'll start the call saying, I need to work on this. This is what I'm focused on for the next period of time. And they've found it really useful to, again, have that support from teammates and accountability. How are you getting on with that? You told me you were going to do this half an hour ago. That stuff is great. A third one, I'm completely lost unless you've got one, my neurodivergent friend also. You go.
So yeah, his neurodivergent friend. I am. I have ADHD. So the 2 things that you just said are amazing to me, because the flow it is body doubling. Yes. So I've used that in remote working before, where you can go and body double each other in the business. So you'll do a Teams call, but because you do the same thing, and if you're not neurodivergent, or you are, but this isn't your thing, this will be completely lost on you. You'll be like, what is she talking about? Mirroring each other on Teams, what will that do? Well, when you get stuck in a task, that's a big thing. And yeah, the spiky profiles. But one of the things that is sometimes using AI. When we talk about AI, we think we're going to put, company accounts in there, or, some sort of dead sensitive information that, we're going to be struggling about. It's not, AI is brilliant for neurodiverse people, because what it does is it just gives you a friendly little person, but it's AI, to go, I've got this task. Where do I start? Help me. Just frame this question for me. Help me with this. So I think for me, AI hasn't been the really intense kind of problem-solving things, because I'm actually all right at that. It's I've got this task to start, and actually it's really boring, so where do I start? Just help me do the first thing. And that's it. So I think AI is one of the things there. Did that help?
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Saved me.
Well done. Good teamwork. Very, very good teamwork. So, right, we're going to the very final question before we open up to Q&A. Anna, if you could change one thing in your organisation heading into 2025 to drive an improved, diverse culture, what would it be?
Executive level involvement.
Right. Fantastic.
I couldn't be any more short.
Thank you so much.
And just pick me up on that. Do you mean sort of flattening your structure, much closer working together on these things, less being told, and more sort of collaboration around how to take the business forward?
I think it would. I would start with education. I would start with having somebody come in on a regular basis actually talking about diversity and inclusion, what that means. It's such a wide topic. We don't have to tell, but next time I'll tell you a story about being a dog and how awful that is for a Muslim person, for example, right? If they've been called, you say this in English, you're an old dog, something like this, just an expression. You shouldn't do that, right? But how would I know? How would anybody know about these things if they are not educated? So I think it starts with the board of trustees, with the executive leadership team to sponsor, right, and invest into this educational piece, what that means, what the inclusion means, right? If I ask anybody here, like, everybody will have different answers. So we'll start with education, promotion of it, and being an evangelist of diversity and inclusion.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give our panel a very big round of applause. We've got before we break for drinks and networking, we do have time for some questions. So who has a question for our panel? We have first hand I saw in the right at the corner there.
See, and do we want to ask them up? Well, go ahead. The first birthday. We talk about neurodivergency in the workplace, and I work with solution architects, enterprise architects, that I think it would be fair to say that some of them, it's obvious that they don't think the same way as others do. But they're not necessarily diagnosed with any specific type of neurodivergence. And I guess the question is that you talk about 3%. How much of that is because it's actually not diagnosed, and how much of it is because it's a fair figure?
Yeah, great question. I think I sort of, I'll open up to the panel, just a couple of things on this from me. It's something I've looked into quite a lot and how to make improvements here. I think the first point is people fear disclosing. Right, they think that if they sort of tick certain boxes in recruitment processes, then they're going to be discriminated against in that process, right? So, I think to help break that down, I think we need to really help businesses think about how they advertise, how they promote, how they get across to candidates, and it's already a safe space before they put in that application form. So that can be with holding welcome calls for job opportunities before people apply. To get a chance to interact with a business. How often do you ever get a chance to go and experience and interact with a business before you put in a job application? Very, very rarely. But those sorts of things can help demonstrate that the business is serious about being inclusive and won't discriminate against somebody for ticking certain boxes on an application form. So I think that's the first point I'd make on that. I didn't think wide around diagnosis. There's definitely an issue on that. Definitely, I think when I was at school, the very, very limited screening going on. I think that's getting much better in the education system. But it's a spectrum. It's not a right or a wrong answer. Right? We are all wired differently. We're all wired differently in one way or another. So I think there is a lot of issues around the lack of screening when sort of working population today are going through education to help really understand these things. But Ollie, do you want to come?
Yeah, I think part of the challenge also is there's not a kind of unifying neurodivergent charity, right? That's going to kind of bring that stuff together. You've got the Autistic Society that will bring lots of stuff from that lens. You've got an ADHD Foundation. You've got all this kind of neurological conditions, but there's not anything at the moment that's bringing those things together. So there's no sort of way of actually saying what do we think with some confidence is actually the kind of demographic consensus within the UK, and let's be honest, it makes it far beyond. I'd also think about it in a slightly different way, where, especially if we're talking about tech organisations here, the reality is probably a lot more representation. To your point, in the tech industry already, we didn't know about it. They didn't disclose or declare it. If you want a more kind of positive way of talking about it with us before the process or when they joined, the reality is we've actually got a lot more already in our organisations, and so. Almost then as employers going, well, why do we want to know? Why do we want to know beyond kind of any sort of metrics or targets? What is the benefit to us of knowing? Some of it can be around attracting more to say, look, this proportion of our team is already neurodiverse. We want more. But also it's about how do we best support our teammates And actually then it's about getting to, well, we want to know because we want to know what the challenge is. Well, how can we actually help your experience in the organisation become a better one? And so that's the way, this is no silver bullet whatsoever, but starting instead, use a phrase at the moment in my mind anyway, of like, especially if someone's autistic, it's kind of beats off. You think maybe they are autistic. But I don't need to know that. But actually, if I know that they might be really struggling adapting to change or in a really kind of fast-moving scenario, or if there's certain ways that are being communicated, which I think is even more of a challenge in a remote type of organisation, those are the things you just start to say, well, actually, the best solutions and the best transformations I've seen for any neurodivergent teams actually benefit people who are neurotypical like I am. So you're like, how do we actually make that far more work for everybody? You generally then raise the bar for all. And that's the way it's kind of helped, certainly in my mind, to think about it.
And when we think about innovation, Ollie, if we all think and act the same, at some point innovation dies. Sort of getting balanced diversity of thought in teams is what creates innovation and helps things keep moving along. So it's about embracing that and recognising the power of it, but learning how to interact with one another within a team and bringing that together in a positive force.
And if I could add the smallest points, and I've been rambly, that one of the best ways has been kind of talking in, this is horribly corporate cliches, forgive me, but like talking out the language of the business. And what I mean, I work in a consultancy. People who want to be bringing in different perspectives, and sometimes it's just about reframing stuff in the way that they would talk to their clients about their own people for it to actually make some more sense.
Great question. I saw quite a few other hands up. Come to the gentleman in the middle here. Rich.
Hey. Your dance.
Okay, brilliant. Hi, thank you very much. I think it's been a really fantastic panel and discussion. My name's Gavin Phillips. I work for an organisation called RSM, and it's quite interesting hearing about the importance of diversity and different people, because we work quite a lot with organisations whereby they may recruit talent, but they live and work outside of the UK because it's such a niche. And from my own experience, I think the example shared of being great around the importance of having diverse teams in terms of having that understanding. I think Anna gave a great example in terms of knowing what's going on in it. I think every day it kind of brings it to life for me. So I'm from a mixed race background. My dad is white, my mum is black from the Caribbean. And even just in the last couple of months, it brought it to life for me with the riots and the issues in Bristol, because when they're on TV, my mum rang me and said, Gavin, don't go into Bristol because we're worried. So in my team, we do have people from different backgrounds, and I was able to automatically relate and say, if you're worried about it, let me know. If you've got safety concerns, let me know. And just to get your wider thoughts, like Anna and team gave some great examples around letting people share experiences with you, just to get your thoughts on that and what you do to kind of get to know your staff more. Judith, do you want to pick this one up?
So I currently have a team which is in India and Poland and the UK and Leeds. So we're all on we do general quizzes and stuff, get to know, do an icebreaker on most calls just to get everyone to learn. Like you were saying, it's so important to understand. Like a classic with India, I had no idea how many different languages, and they are all, and you think we're India, they're all speaking different languages, but everyone speaks English. And it's remembering that it's not their first language, and so you need to be kind to them and understand. And it's going to take a while to understand languages and stuff, and you can't be, just because you have to remember that it's not their first language and they are speaking. And I can't speak any language, so I always feel so naive in the fact that they're speaking probably their third language and writing in it, coding in it, and everything else in it. And then it's just incredible. But you have to give everyone that space and that time to be able to answer questions without rushing.
There are two key things, I think, when you build this trust. Yes, first of all, you have to possess empathy, regardless of what you've been taught. Some of the things that my team members from India are sharing, what are things like in India, I find it, as a woman, I find absolutely just blows my mind. I cannot and I mustn't even demonstrate my disapproval because I don't want him to feel judged, right? It's their culture. This is how things are run in that particular state. Therefore, you just empathize with the situation.
and you ask them how you can help and actually do help. And that's it. It's this non-judgment thing. It's hard to establish, but it's vital.
So thank you. I haven't got time for 2 more questions. And, oh God, I feel like there's so much pressure. Just, what time's our drinks reception? Until? We've got an hour. Right, so I'm gonna, if I don't get round everybody, please do come and find members of the panel and ask your questions, but I'm going to try and do my best here. Right, gentlemen at the front, in the white shirt.
So I work for a provider that does apprenticeships, and for the first time ever, we specialise in creating digital apprenticeships. For the first time ever, we have in colleges over 50% of young people saying they want to do apprenticeships. Where do you guys in the tech industry see apprenticeships as part of your talent strategy? And where does it come in?
Ollie?
Tech's on to start. I'm in the knowledge team. We're going to be all over. Yes, in short. We've also become an apprenticeship provider, registered beginning of last year, I believe, as well. We have become. So I can sit here confidently. I think it's a massive one. If I was going to think also talk about a lot about AI and all those kind of things as well, getting those things, I'm training myself to be more optimistic about that. Make me feel pessimistic at times is that entry level role. How are we going to give people opportunity in 4 or 5 years time in tech when AI is going to probably take a lot of what you'd associate with your entry level roles and responsibilities? How do we bring that in and build people up with that experience? I think we've seen that saw a report about a month ago where of all of the jobs market in tech, it's the entry level roles where the squeeze is actually being felt the most. I'm sure we all kind of know different people who are looking to get in at that point. It is really tough. Apprenticeships are the way for me. To be able to do it. So many incentives for organisations to try and do that. There's so much there, I think, for companies that's there as a clean ROI, horrible term, but actually if you invest in 2, 3, 4 years' time, what you'll be able to get out of it in terms of contributions to the culture as well as skills. So for me, it should be a no-brainer. But I think it's going to be challenging, right, in the market.
Right. Thanks, Ollie. I still think there's a stigma around apprenticeships that still needs improving upon. I think the sector's done a great job at it, but still, when I still engage with C-suites and various businesses, they still don't get it. So I still think that education needs more. And sometimes I've had best success on getting businesses around to apprenticeships by not telling them an apprenticeship. But if you can go in and train to a standard that's just as good as a degree, if not better, and earn at the same time, what a great route into the world of tech, right?
I find the companies sometimes swings. There's companies we work with, like we work with Global Media's, the big radio station, and they take on loads of apprentices. It's a really big part of it. And then we just started with a very other, probably bigger size company who've never done it. And it's like, what? Okay. So like I've had to teach them the digital systems and stuff like that. So it's bonkers how some people have done it for nearly a decade and some people.
But it is changing. It is shifting. As you said, your 50% start, that's massive. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think so. Cost of university, I think COVID helped. All the reports of COVID experience are going, I'd say 48 grams.
Yeah.
Student that, or you can start doing it 7.
I think one of the things for me, I'll just finish on this, but one of the things for me about that is that's the diverse talent pipeline, right? So I work with one of the big 4, and it's about, because I love apprenticeships, and I've been in an apprenticeship, so from that background, so I'm a massive believer. And this consultancy has apprenticeships, career changers, and a graduate scheme, and they still work with us because that's your diverse talent pipeline. It's non-going. Let's just do apprenticeships. Let's just do a grad scheme. Let's just go down this one route. There are people out there, boot camps, all these great organisations who've been doing it like you're experts, right? You've been doing it a long time. So that's, for me, we were thinking about a diverse talent pipeline. It's about utilising all the people at your availability rather than just doing, this is it and this is all we're doing.
Right, okay. We're gonna work other rooms. Oh, just got in there from. Oh, I was moving to the second row. You just got in. Go for it.
First row, which is actually a really hard question. So for this,
My question is, how do people go about evidencing the business impact? So just to give you a bit of context, firstly, it's amazing to hear that the focus on diversity, equity, inclusion in conversation it's really kind of heartening, because there's so many people and organisations out there and people love PayTech in this way. I run an inclusion consultancy, and we're now with some of our clients, we're kind of 2, 3, 4 years into the journey, and we've gone on the education journey. They're starting to implement all sorts of things that we've been talking about and starting to measure more. But actually, how do you connect the actual impact, the market impact, the talent impact, the operational impact, so you can start seeing the change, albeit we're changing before or changing and competitive advantage? Give us some sort of stories and examples so that it becomes something that becomes how business is done, and you see the evidence. And
that's a great question. I'm gonna ask Judith to answer this one, or Jemma.
In QBE, female tech attrition rate has dropped in the past 12 months from 6% to 3%, and we believe that's our organisation and the group, and that figure there was really important to us. So actually, our group was been nominated for the BCS UK IT Awards for diversity, inclusion, equity and inclusion, because of all everything we've been doing. And then that shows in the attrition rate. You know, yeah, and the male I think the male attrition rate is something like 6% in the state, and it's gone up, whereas it's gone down. Yeah. So, you know, really.
Really
There's like and promotion as well. Yeah, it was like in the last quarter was only female. Yeah, right.
Okay, good. And I bet, ultimately, business financial performance will start to be linked to this. And that's where we want to go. It's about aligning those stars and recognising it makes good business sense as well. Really good question. Thank you. Gentleman behind you, if you just pass in the mic, might switch it on. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Lots of companies use personality profiling or capability-based interviews to determine the right person for the right role. Can you think of any completely underutilized questions or focus areas that most employers routinely miss?
George, you engage with a lot of employers, and the thing that you can pick up on there.
I think scenario-based questions get leaned on way too much. I actually think the best first question you can ask is, tell me about yourself, and not work. We hire people, not robots, otherwise AI. Tell me about yourself, and I don't want to hear about work. And you'll find that it will take them to the journey that made them get into that position in the first place and found their why.
So that's it. Thank you.
That one.
Yeah.
When I went for my interview with Knowledge to QBE, my current manager was on the line, and there was 4 of us all together. And his first question was, "What is your favourite app on your phone?" Right? And I was like, "What the hell?" I was prepared for some like absolute super tech, but he didn't care about what qualifications I had, because he knew where I come from Knowledge, and everybody was on the same level. So that was already set. The second question was, what do you think about when you're driving? And I was like, how about I feel on? Has the dog got enough water? I can't assume I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, well, I think about travel, and this is what I want to do. I want to go to the Philippines. And he's like, great. What kind of person does that describe you as? Because that's what he wanted to know. What are you going to do for the business in terms of your personality and you as a person?
Fantastic, thank you. I know I'm trying to chair us into drinks, but this is a very passionate pet subject of mine as well, so I'm just going to give 2 things as well, if I may. Something I've seen that's really powerful is have candidates come in and interview the employer first. Right, come in, find out about us, ask us the questions. Is it right for you? It's a great icebreaker as well to go into a process. The other thing is we've put people through a lot of tests, and they're not allowed to use anything. Well, that's not in the place of work, is it? Yeah, we have access to information, we have the internet, we have processes written down. Yeah, why don't we enable people to go through tests utilising the resources at their disposal, because that's the place of work. And that's a great way of improving neurodiverse hiring as well. It's just two things that I just wanted to add there. Okay, who was the gentleman? I think in the still have to ask your questions. Work to the back.
They've been answered already, actually, because I had a question for Anna, because you were mentioning about interviewing and how you might assess for potential.
Yeah.
Have you got any tips or strategies for how you can assess someone's potential? Because we only have a certain number of places that we can fill, and we want to find the best person for the job.
So I have a strategy. First round of interviews is always done by my team members. If they don't put this person forward, that's a no-go. Okay? So my team members need to sort of, would you say it, vetting? Yeah? So if they say, yeah, this person is worth interviewing, and I'm not technical, I run technical team, I'm not technical, so I can't ask technical questions, right? So they will be answered by the candidate, and my senior staff members. I ask questions like, what's your favorite movie, right? Where you go on traveling? What's your favorite place of travel? And I ask a lot about emotional intelligence, what people know about it, and if they don't, what's their perception of it, right? For me, the cultural fit, the way people interact within the group is very, very important. And also, I don't know, it's not very scientific, it's the gut feel, right? George and I had a situation when there was a candidate, perfect on paper, excellent answers, but there was something about that I just couldn't shake it off. And I asked for George's counsel there, and he said, we're not going to go with this candidate. Yeah, so when you see this in the eyes of the candidate, they just get it. This level of energy, this level of engagement, the interest. They want to ask you hard questions. My gosh, some questions candidates ask, I don't know how to answer. But I then say, I don't know how to answer. I can get back to you. So, like Chris said, it's two-way street, right? So it has to work for both parties.
Chris, can I add?
Yes, please.
Yes. It's a super hard thing to do. I'm not saying this from any sort of place of expertise. One of the things that we have found useful is much more of a mindset thing. So when we'll ask questions about how something would have been, if they were talking about maybe not a scenario, but a kind of a behavioural question or sharing a time when they might have done something, some of the best things we might hear is, well, on reflection, actually, I would have done it this way differently, or actually, if I'm going to do something like next time, I'll learn how to do this. And they're thinking about, well, they're reflective, for us, always a really good sign of potential, and not necessarily about where they are, but where they could get to, and the different steps to how they'd improve themselves. For us, is one of the main ways we can start to distinguish that between, especially if you've got a lot of candidates that have got quite similar backgrounds, it can be really difficult otherwise.
Fantastic, thank you. Right, two questions. And we definitely bring you to a close.
Hello.
Again, thank you so much. It's been a really interesting panel. To your point of STEM or tech becoming one of the leading sectors now, but the latest reports found that 80% of parents from disadvantaged backgrounds don't think that STEM or tech is for their kids. I had an association with Tribe, and we're looking at the next generation and how we're supposed to encourage and develop them. Have any of the companies on the panel and the panelists have any strategies that you're looking at, particularly underrepresented groups? I think if we're looking at, we maybe are moving away from uni, yeah, and I think for us that opens up an enormous opportunity of looking at people who maybe wouldn't always look at education routes in that way. Anybody got any sort of solutions you're already trying?
It's a great question. Eva.
I'm from I'm actually the first half of my career was actually spent in social work, so working with young people in care and young people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So this is an area of huge passion for me, and there are organisations out there, social mobility organisations, and even the local authorities. So working with children not in education, training, or employment need. So I'm not. I've been here a month, so I should have got it already, really. I'm just really slacking off. But that is an area that I do want to focus on, because I do think that when we talk about diversity, it's really, we often just don't broaden ourselves up to all of diversity, and young people who don't have access is something that I'm really passionate about. And I think we can do loads of things there. But as far as organisations, there is the Social Mobility Organisation, but there are others like the Sophie Pender 93% Club and those kind of things. So that's where we're trying to go, but how do you pick apprenticeship routes and those kind of things. And honestly, this again goes back to the diversity. Partnering with organisations, boot camps, we do partner with the King's Trust as well. So partnering with boot camps and government organisations is the way to go, because you know, we don't always have the expertise. Trying to do it one way is not always the right way. So, but yeah, I'm a huge believer. So I'm talking your ear off about that.
Thank you, Even. If I could just add as well, from outside of work, I had the pleasure of chairing an academies trust, which had I think about, we had inner city schools in Leeds, some very tough environments. Actually, the teachers realised there's only so much they could do within 9 to 5 at school, and they actually needed to focus a lot more on the parents, because what they're finding is they're doing a lot to promote different careers, working on various different things, but if that wasn't reinforced in the home, then it's quite hard to get that sustained change and of mindset. So the schools actually started to do a lot more about getting parents in and running information evenings, showcasing to them what their children can go on and do. Very small example, but that began to change aspirations within the schools. Thank you. Very final question in the middle here.
Don't worry, it's a short question. As someone who is from a number of
yeah,
it is on. Okay. As someone from a number of diverse backgrounds, how do you guys both combat and strategize to avoid company culture from eroding diversity and inclusion hiring cultures? Because often I find that companies will look for employees who match your culture instead of inviting employees from different cultures and inviting those cultures in and learning and gaining those unique traits. And
another great final question. Who would like to pick this one up? Ollie, you're a teacher.
I think it's not easy. It's a short answer. One of the biggest red flags for me, I think it's still all around a lot of industry, is when there's a reason why I'm not sure about this person and it will all get bracketed under cultural fit. Cultural fit is a huge red flag that we want to be avoiding. Trying to shift our teams toward cultural add or something that they're much more equivalent. That should be, what are they going to bring, not are they going to fit easily. And I don't think it's always the real reason, but it's certainly an easy cop out for a lot of hiring managers and people if they're not sure on someone to say or not sure how they'll fit into the team. It's not about fitting. It's about what they can add to it as well. And so that's the thing, I think, to keep making that message to people. We've talked about diversity of our interview panels, documenting evidence actually through the process. And if you're going to make a biased decision, you better well prove it, you know. And so trying to make that much more an objective process, I think, is not going to solve overnight, but I think it's one of the main things you can do to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ollie. Right, I'm gonna draw the Q&A to an end. That's fantastic engagement levels, I have to say, from the audience. So thank you very much. So as well, I think we should give you all a round of applause. Thank you. So look, thank you very much for coming today. I hope you found it insightful and useful. I certainly have. I've learned a lot today. So thanks again to all of our panelists. We are now sort of breaking for the more informal part of our evening for a couple of drinks and opportunities to network and discuss these important topics further. So, George, you know where we go?
I will tell you where you can go and get your goodies and drinks. But first, please can we just say a massive thank you to Louise for all her hard work and setting this up. And
Keep still on the